Great turnout. We are so happy. I'm Linda McLaughlin-Feigl. I'm one of the owner of Pages, and I have two partners, Patty and Margaret. They're not here tonight, but they join me in welcoming you. You know, a question that even came up at dinner tonight is how we go about getting authors. And there's actually three ways that we get authors. The first is, since we opened our doors 3 years ago, in about a week, 3-year anniversary, it's been a total shocker to us, but almost everybody that walks through the door is an author. Aren't we so lucky they've come to us to share their book that's only published on Amazon? And they want us to sell it and promote them and have an event for them. So that's one way, and there are no shortage of those. Then the second way is we get these publisher grids, and they are, every publisher puts them out, and they go through the year, who's traveling, and who would you like to request, and then you do, and you make an argument why you should get them, and then they decide in their infinite wisdom whether or not you're worthy, and we're new, so we haven't totally gained the credibility that gets all of the authors we ask for. But then the third way, they're those authors that you fall in love with and you really stalk them. And I think Jess can attest to the fact that that was the case here. I read Beautiful Ruins this summer. First of all, I have to say, first thing I did was fall in love with the cover. Because it is just, I think, an exquisite cover. And I'm a tactile person, that's why I sell books, not digital, but the real thing. And this sort of meets all of those expectations. It feels good, it looks good, it's pretty. Read the book, loved it, and somewhat, you know, serendipitously, Danny started working for us right about that time. And it was, I don't know, day 2 or 3 on the job, and Danny said, you know, so have you read that book, Beautiful Ruins? I said, I have, I really liked it, it's great. I've never read anything by Jess Walter, but love it, can't wait to read more. Yeah, he's my dad's friend. Let the stalking begin. That was about August, and I don't know how many emails you've gotten from me, and you were kind enough to respond. How many? And Danny even gave me your cell phone number, so I texted him. He's been very responsive. But so once I discovered Jess, I wanted to know more, and he's the author of 6 novels. His works have been published in 15 countries and translated into 20 languages. His works include Beautiful Ruins, which was a New York Times bestseller and a notable book of 2012. The Financial Lives of Poets, which we have back there, which came out in 2009, and it was a Time Magazine #2 novel of the year. The Zero, which was the finalist for the National Book Award and the recipient of the Penn Center Literary Award, and Citizen Vince, which was the winner of the 2005 Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best Novel. And a week ago today, Jess published a collection of short stories, We Live in Water, which I've already read and I really, really liked. And I am anxious for you to talk about it because these two works could not be more different. They really, really are. And I was dazzled by both. So with that, thank you for coming, and I'm going to thank you for coming and turn it over to Jess.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for coming and for supporting an independent bookstore. To have one in your community is the greatest thing, and they're not just showrooms for Amazon. You can actually buy books in them too. So, thanks for supporting it. I hope you continue to, and so they can keep bringing authors. And thanks to Tim and to Danny. Tim was reminding me of a much earlier book tour when I came through Los Angeles. And I went to, it was just one of those crazy book tours. The book was called Land of the Blind, and everywhere I went, people thought it was actually about blindness. So I had to do this radio show, and I had to do this bookstore. I forget where it was now. I think it was in Torrance or someplace. I don't even know if they have bookstores in Torrance anymore. But I got there, and the bookstore owner said, "We've had terrible luck with events, and it's raining, and I just don't know if anyone's going to come." And I thought, oh my God, I've never been skunked. What if I walk around and there's no one there? And thankfully, I walk around the corner and there are 2 guys sitting there. So I said, "You guys are here for the reading?" And they smiled and nodded. And I said, "Well, this novel is called Land of the Blind. It's ostensibly a crime novel, but you know, it's a sort of Trojan horse for a coming-of-age novel. It's really embedded." You guys don't speak English, do you? And they were there as part of a English as a second language class. They would just go out to bookstores and try to learn the language that way, and they saw some chairs, so they sat down. And I'm looking at the bookstore owner, And I'm thinking, I can't tell her that they aren't here for me. So those two guys had to sit and listen to an entire reading, just because what was I going to do, you know? And I'd love to tell you I sold them books, but I didn't. So I'm going to read some. I was trying to decide what to read from, and then Tommy Kelleher demanded that I read a short story from the new collection. I was just on Michael Silverblatt's radio show today, and he flattered me by saying he can't believe that Beautiful Ruins and We Live in Water are written by the same author, because the tone can be very different. And I think it's one of the things I pride myself on when I'm writing. I don't think of the writer and what he has to say. The story tells you what it wants to be, so I write all different kinds of forms and styles. And, so a novel that maybe is more expansive, like Beautiful Ruins, and then some of these short stories, which, as I wrote them over the last 6 or 7 years, were about the sort of economic conditions we found ourselves in, and what I found to be a sort of lack of empathy in myself. That in the Great Depression, when 1/4 of all men were out of work, women weren't even part of the workforce. 1/4 of men were out of work. I don't think we blamed people for being poor. And now I think there's a tendency to assume that if someone's panhandling, if someone's really down on their luck, that it's something they've done. So that's kind of what motivated the stories and motivated me to pull them all together. So I'm just going to read the beginning of one of them here. Tommy wanted me to read to the end because it's the best part. But when I started doing readings, my dad said, "What? You wrote the book and now you have to go read it to him?" And I said, "Well, I tend not to read the whole thing, Dad." But as Tommy says, the ending is the best part, and you'll have to buy the book to get that. So this story is called Anything Helps. And I have to warn you, there are some swear words in it. And I did this big book club group one time where I opened for questions at the end, and this woman said, "What do you say to people who think that maybe you use too many swear words?" And I say, "Fuck you." I have to warn you, there's a little bit of language, but it's all in character. So. Anything helps. Bit hates going to cardboard, but he got tossed from the Jesus beds for drunk and sacrilege, and he's got no other way to get money. So he's up behind Frankie Doodles, flipping through broken down produce boxes like an art buyer over a rack of paintings. And when he finds a piece without stains or writing, he rips it down until it's square. Then he walks to the quick stop where the fat checker likes him. He flirts her out of a magic marker and a beef stick. The beef stick he eats right away, and it cramps his gut. He sets the cardboard on the counter and writes carefully in black letters, "Anything helps." The checker says, "You got good handwriting, Bit." The best spot, where the freeway lets off next to Dick's, is taken by some chalker Bit's never seen before. Skinny, dirty pants, hollow eyes. The kid's sign reads, "Homeless Hungry." Bit yells, "Homeless hungry? Dude, I invented homeless hungry." The kid just waves. Bit walks on, west toward his other spot. There are a few chalkers out, stupid crankers, faces stupid, signs stupid. They're at stupid intersections too, with synced lights, so the cars never stop. Bit's headed to his unsynced corner. Fewer cars, but at least they have to stop. Streamers off the freeway, working people, South Hill ladies on their way to lunch. When he gets there, he grabs the light pole and sits back against it, eyes down, non-threatening, pathetic. It feels weird. More than a year since he's had to do this. You think you're through with some things. He hears a window hum and gets up, walks to the car without making eye contact, gets a buck. "Thank you." A minute later, another car, another window, another buck. "Bless you. Good luck," the people always say. For the next hour, it's a tough go. Cars come off the hill, hit the light, stop, look, leave. The woman, who looks at first like Julie, glances over and mouths, "I'm sorry." Bit mouths back, "Me too." Then a guy in a gold convertible Mercedes almost makes the light, but has to slam on his brakes. "I think you could have made it," Bit says. The guy looks over at him, says, "You look healthy enough to work." "Thanks, so do you." "Let me guess, veteran." "Yep, War of 1812. The guy laughs. "Then what, you lost your house?" "Misplaced it." You're a funny fucker. Hey, tell you what, I'll give you 20 bucks if you tell me what you're gonna buy with it. The light changes, but the guy just sits there. The car goes around. Bit shields his eyes from the sun. You give me 20 bucks? Yeah, but you can't bullshit me. If I give you 20, you gotta tell me what you're gonna get. The new Harry Potter book. You are one funny fucker. Thanks, you too. No, tell me exactly what you're gonna drink or smoke or whatever, and I'll give you a 20. But it's gotta be the truth. The truth. Why does everyone always want that? He looks at the guy in the gold convertible. Back at the Jesus beds, they'll be gathering for group about now, trying to talk one another out of this very thing, this reverie, truth. Vodka, Bit says, because it fucks you up the fastest. I'll get it at the store over on 2nd, or whatever cheap stuff they got, plastic in case I drop it. And I'll get a bag of nuts or pretzels, something solid as shit later. Whatever money's left, Bit's mouth is dry, I'll put in municipal bonds. After the guy drives off, Bit looks down at the $20 bill in his hand. Maybe he is a funny fucker. Bit slides the book forward. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. What's a hallow anyway, he asks. The clerk takes the book and runs it through the scanner. I guess it's British for hollow. I don't read those books. I read the first one. It's pretty good. Bit looks around Auntie's bookstore, big and open, a few soft chairs between the rows of books. So what do you read? Colonic. That'll be $28.56. Bit whistles, counts out the money and sets it on the counter. Shit, he's 70 cents short. The clerk has those big loopy earrings that stretch out your lobes. He moves his mouth as he counts the money. How big are you gonna make them holes in your ears? Maybe like quarter size. Hey, you're a little short. You got a discount card? Bit pats himself. Must be in my other pants. Be right back, the kid says, and he leaves with the book. I'm kind of in a hurry, Bit says to the kid's back. He needs to stop by the Jesus beds, although he knows Cater might not let him in. He likes Cater, in spite of the guy's mean Jesus rules and his intense mean Jesus eyes. It's a shame what happened, because Bit had been doing so good, going to group almost every day, working dinner shift in the yard. Cater has this pay system at the Jesus beds, where you serve or clean or do yard work and get paid in these vouchers that you redeem for snacks and shit at the little store they run. Keeps everything kind of in-house and gets people used to spending their money on something other than getting fucked up. Of course, there's a side market in the vouchers, dime on the dollar, so over time people save enough to get stewed. But Bit's been keeping that under control too, almost like a civilian. No crank for more than a year, just a beer or two once a month, occasionally a split bottle of wine. Then last week happened. At group on Thursday, Fat Danny'd been bragging about how the time he OD'd, and that made Bit think of Julie, the way her foot kept twitching after she stopped breathing. So after group, he took a couple of bucks from his stash, the hollow rail of his bed, and had a beer in a tavern, like a real person, leaned up against the bar watching baseball, and it was great. Hell, he didn't even drink all of it. It was more about the bar than the beer. But it tasted so good he broke down on Friday and got 2 40s at the Quick Stop. And when he came back to the Jesus beds, Wallace ran off to Cater and told him Bit sold his vouchers for booze money. Consequences, Cater is always saying. I feel shitty, Bit's always saying. Let's talk about you, Andrea, the social worker is always saying. When you sober up, come and see me, the fat checker at the Quick Stop is always saying. Funny fucker, the guy in the gold convertible is always saying. The bookstore kid finally comes back. He's got a little card like a driver's license, and he gives it to Bit with a pen. There, now you have a discount card, the kid says. On the little piece of cardboard where it says name, Bit writes funny fucker. Where it says address, Bit writes anything helps. So, Bit's thinking. So, Bit is taking that book to his son who's in foster care, and he's been saving up and sort of not saving up for that book for a long time. Most of you probably want to talk about Beautiful Ruins, so when I'm all done I'd love to answer any questions about that. That seems to be the book that most people have read right now, which is so flattering, because as a writer of fiction, you're sort of used to and prepared for no one reading your stuff. So to go around and have people read your work is really great. I have noticed, though, because it's a little a publicist sent out this press information, you know, saying this is Jess Walter's most romantic novel yet, which is a little bit like saying Denny's most gourmet meal yet. Since I hadn't actually written anything romantic ever, my work tends to be a little more grounded, I guess. But because it's a little bit romantic, I've noticed that some people think Jess Walter is a woman. And I'm not. And I was in the midst of this book tour. I landed somehow in Winnipeg, and this woman picked me up at the airport. She's holding a sign. I said, "I'm Jess Walter." She said, "No, Jess Walter's a woman." I said, "No, I'm pretty sure I'm Jess Walter." She said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, there's a picture of me on the book." And she looked and said, "I thought for sure this was a woman. Doesn't this look like a woman's book?" I said, I don't think of books that way. I mean, it doesn't have, you know, penis or vagina. It's sort of just a book, you know. And, "No, I'm pretty sure it's a woman's book." And I said, "Well, I think it's for anyone." And, "No, I think my friends are pretty sure it's a woman's book." And I'm arguing with her. And so I get in the car and she keeps saying, "I was sure you were a woman." And this is my escort for like 5 readings in Winnipeg. And every place she takes me, she says, "Can you believe this is a man?" Don't you think this was going to be a woman? It's not a woman. Look, it's a man. And by the end, I just wanted to kill her. You know? I'm a man. So I'm a man, baby. So I'm not going to read from Beautiful Ruins, but I am going to finish with a poem. Just because you should get a short story and a poem when you go to a reading. So this is from my novel, The Financial Lives of Poets. And its conceit is that there's a business writer at a newspaper who's lost his job, and so he ends up, well, first he quits his job as a newspaper reporter